pleasure to introduce to you our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeffrey A. Lawson.
I really think it's only fair. Brainstorm. And I thought, you taking me as seriously as you do, that I would come up and it'd be, kind of pensive, quiet, and I'd say, I'd like to start off my remarks by just sharing a little budget information. You all saw right through it, didn't you? Right through it. This is the best night of the year. It really is. How many of you raise your hand if this is the first time you've attended one of these? That's just awesome. This is a true celebration, and I promise you, when I drive home tonight, I'll be thinking, what am I going to say next year? Not a talk goes by, not an article goes by, or a podcast goes by, where I try to find something that I think will be relevant for my remarks tonight. I spend a lot of time going out to schools, talking with teachers, trying to listen, trying to help as much as I can. And this night is always different. And you would think as much as I do this that it would be a piece of cake, but it's not. Because I find myself getting into that place where I need you to know how much I appreciate what you do and how blessed I consider myself to be to serve you, to represent you as best I can. Some days may be better than others, but we always try to keep an eye on what's happening to our teachers. Because as you go, our kids go. And that message really began to resonate with me as a young dad when I realized that, if I'm successful, my 3 kids are much more likely to be successful. So I have a responsibility, whether or not I want to go to work this week, whether or not I want to take this kind of a job, I've got a responsibility to my family. And the same dynamic is in play with you. When I stand here, it's a night of celebration. And I look at people like Brendan Boaz from the Interactive Media Program at the School of Tech, Beth Cronin, who was a colleague of mine when she was principal at Elton Middle School, and I was a new executive director, and we were kind of just thought partners more than anything boss, subordinate kind of thing. And I just look around the room, there are so many talented teachers. And you know what you do? You produce kids like Alex Langeway. Is Kyle here? Alex Langeway is a senior at George Washington University. I believe he is a computer programming major. He already has a job lined up at Northrop Grumman. He's a cross-country runner. Any one of us would be proud to have Alex as a son, to have a relative grow up like that. You look at somebody like Simone Foy, and I've got no reason to suck up to David, right? David, I can relate when I say we're proud when our kids grow up better than us, right? And you can relate too. Simone's just an absolute outstanding person. She was a student member of the board 2 years ago, June 21st, Elton High School. We had about 250 people who were there to holler at us about fill in the blank. The issues start to run together. They just wanted to holler. And the very first public speaker is standing. Here's Simone. She starts her comments. And Simone, if you don't know her, she's well-spoken, kind of a meek kind of a girl. The person hollers, "We can't hear you." I'm thinking to myself, this is this girl's first, but she goes through one of the roughest years in public education with poise, with grace, full scholarship, University of Maryland, College Park, right? And the list just goes on and the kinds of students we produce. I believe it's Francis Guns, who is a welder, received a full-time welding job through York Builders. Full-time job, set him up for the rest of his life. Set his family up for the rest of his life. So it's not just about putting out these students, right, who are going to these Tier 1 research universities. It's about setting them up for life's lessons. We have 5,299 students who made the honor roll in the third marking period. 5,299. That does not include pre-K, K1, right? So it includes 2 through 12, which is about 13,000 students. So we're operating at a clip where more than 50% of our students are making the honor roll. Now, that's the good news. The challenge, that means you have 45% of your students who aren't. And that's where the focus has to be. And that's what we do, day in, day out. We were fortunate enough this past Monday to host a group from the Brandywine School District to come into Perryville Elementary School and see our implementation. Hello, everybody. To see our implementation. Friends over here in the corner. They were the seats they got off StubHub for $8.99, right? But you're in the door, that's all that matters, right? Pink Floyd's playing over here, but you're still here. But anyway, so the group from Brandywine School District comes down and they spend 3 or 4 hours touring around, seeing different classes. And many of you know my wife works in the Brandywine School District. Our kids are kind of grown and gone, and so we're eating dinner, and our dinner's like a little mini PLC. And she says, who is this Natalie girl?
The one in the back.
The one in the way back. For a minute. If you're ever wondering the royalty with which we provide, if you will, our former Teachers of the Year. So Natalie is the Teacher of the Year as we speak, but she's yesterday news. She's in the way back guarding the fire extinguisher. Safety first. Safety first for Natalie. So she says, who is this Natalie girl? I said, Lee, she's the real deal. She's our Teacher of the Year. Top flight instructor. And then she proceeded to tell me the things she saw. She has a student, model, mentor, if you will, walking around during bookworms with the choral read aloud, helping kids to stay on pace. She had 6 or 7 of our neediest, all boys, at the table with her. You know how that goes. All of them were with her, kind of thing. One boy had 2 chairs, like Miss Hawley is my one-on-one parent. But right, she had her finger on the pulse of what was happening, and the kids were on point. And oh, by the way, there were 29 of them. And the problem with this is that she makes it look so darn easy that to the average person, you think it's easy. And that's not what happens. And that is a credit to you. We are in tough times right now, and everybody knows that. Okay? We are in tough times. But I put my faith in you. It's that simple. I put my faith into our 1,200 teachers because you get it done. And the reason sometimes families don't go screaming out of the school because class sizes are so big is because you're so darn good.
That's right.
You are like watching Steph Curry shoot a 3. Sitting in the gym, you're watching Steph Curry knock down 3 after 3 after 3, and you're thinking to yourself, well, man, that looks pretty easy. No, it's really, really, really hard. He's just really, really, really good. And that's what happens. And so, I do this every year. I have remarks. I do. They're in the font for the visually impaired. My glasses. Just a couple things left I want to say. I've mentioned this to some of you. I read a book recently called The Good Life, written by a gentleman named Robert Waldinger, and it's actually kind of a research-based book. It's a longitudinal study out of Harvard, started back in the mid-1930s. And what they did at Harvard was they started to track people at a very young age, 12, 14, 15 years old, and they tracked them through life. And they tracked their happiness and what made them happy as humans. And it's not necessarily what you think. Because back in the year 2000, they identified an income number of $80,000. And they said that if you made $80,000, anything beyond that, happiness was relative. So what they're saying there is happiness is not about money. Happiness is about where you are in life and who you're with in life. And as you grow older, and once you get to be 62 years old with 39 years experience and plenty of gray hair, you start to look at life differently. And what I need to share with you, and I hope If you don't feel it now, keep it in the back of your mind. Let it be a seed that will grow over time. What matters is each other. What matters is each other. You talk to any retiree, ask them what they miss most, they'll tell you the people. It's the people. The culture Cecil County Public Schools has is special. Many of you, not that many of you, some of you have been in different systems and you know what I'm saying. What we have here is different. Never take that for granted. Whether you have a class size of 21 or 41. Never take that for granted. Make sure you're looking out for each other and support each other. As an older guy, as a man, I consider myself blessed to serve you. Thank you.